welcome to Sensible Secondhand Reviews, the series where we take a car that is sensible and practical, well, most of the time anyway, that is possible to buy for a budget of between £1,000 and £5,000. This, however, is probably not very sensible at all. It's a 2017 Smart Fortwo Brabus Xclusive, without an E at the beginning of the word. Is it any good? Should you care? Let's find out, shall we? So as most of you know, the Smart Fortwo, which actually was just called the Smart City Coupe initially, was launched back in about 1998, I think. It was only initially available left-hand drive form. The cars have been assembled at the Smart factory in Smartville, near Hamburg in France. During all that time, this third generation model, known as the C453 or W453, when you're looking at all variants of the platform that this car is on, was launched in 2015, or I think some of the models came out in 2014 in other countries. It's actually based on the same platform as the Mark III Renault Twingo, which isn't sold here anymore. And actually, the petrol variants of this car went out of production in 2019 as well. So these are now only available second hand. This is the craziest edition of all. Now you can buy a C453 Smart Fortwo for under £5,000. I have just checked, so we're within Sensible Secondhand Reviews money for this. But of course, this is the Brabus edition, and so yeah, it's going to be quite a lot more than that. An awful lot more than that. These are sort of cult cars, these, and they come on anything up to sort of £15,000, for example, like this. The engine's available similar to the ones that were used in the Twingo. This one has a 0.9 litre 3-cylinder engine with 109 horsepower. It certainly doesn't seem to lag for anything. 0 to 60 in this car takes less than 9 seconds. It's need to remember that this particular engine is only available with this twin-o-matic automatic gearbox. You can also get a 5-speed manual in some other versions. The base model is a 70 horsepower 1 litre 3-cylinder, and then there's a 0.9 turbo as well as this one, which only generates 89 horsepower. The 1 litre is very, very slow. 0 to 60 takes about 15.5 seconds, I think. This does not. This feels surprisingly rapid, actually. I'm sort of pleased that it does. So I've had to keep the engine on for this particular section because when I came to start it just now, the battery was flat, so I'm just going to leave it on just in case. I don't want to have Simon from Langley Prestige, who's very kindly allowed me to have a go in this car today. I don't want him to have to come and recover me, even though it's not very far. It's just, you know, he's busy. So we'll just leave it on, put a bit of charge of the battery. I don't really know what to sort of think of the design of this car. It's not quite maybe as sort of controversial as when the original Smart City Coupe came out in 1998, particularly because the Brabus is all black. It's just so funny seeing Brabus badges on something this tiny and seeing twin exhausts and things like that. It's really, really odd. But, you know, there we go. Got some nice wheels on this, 17 inches in a tiny little car like this, which is just madness. Absolute and utter madness. So the doors just open like this. We left the window open just in case we had any problem with the key or something like that. You see a lot of Renault bits in here. I mean, those are all Renault bits, and you know, so is that interior door handle and this mirror switch and things like that. It's not necessarily a bad thing. The car was co-developed with Renault, and little cars like this, the profit margins on them are very, very small. So if you can possibly just sort of reduce your development costs somehow by partnering up with someone else, which is what Mercedes-Benz, who owned Smart, did with Renault back in the mid-2010s, then that's obviously good. Unfortunately, I don't think any of the cars on this platform are in production anymore. I've heard that the bonnet is really, really strange. You kind of just, these little clips are on there and it kind of comes off on some kind of Velcro strap. So we'll have a look at that now. Yes, the cooling fans just cut in, viewers, because I have to keep the engine running. But the bonnet, as you can see, it's just held on with things. It's very difficult to film this one-handed, but it literally doesn't have any hinges. It just sort of, you undo one clip that side, one clip that side, there, and you just sort of hook it on. It's really, really weird. The other usual things are under there, but the engine's in the back, actually. So yeah, this isn't really even like a sort of front boot or anything like that. It's just an area where you top the fluids up. So I suppose you call it a bonnet. We'll have a look in the back next, I think. Oh, I'll put this down. So very weird again with the way this opens. It's a bit like one of those old P38 Range Rovers. A bit like that, really. Let's put that out of the way. So yeah, the engine's, it's under here. It's down here. Now the maximum capacity of the boot, if you fold that passenger seat down, is about 300 or something litres. It's not actually that bad considering the car is so unbelievably small. If you retracted that low blinder things, you get a bit more in. So you can actually have up to 100 kilos on here, as it says. You can have up to 100 kilos on there. If you want to do up your shoes or something like that, I suppose. It's quite heavy, actually. Might want to get a number plate or something for this car. That one seems to be a little bit sort of funny. Yeah, I'll have to tell Simon about that when I get back. Yeah, definitely. Parking sensors on the back of here, which is good. The camera is also here, but what I found with the camera on this car is that it's really, really dark. I'll have to show you in a second. I think I might have to turn the brightness or something up. There's not really much else to sort of say other than that there's loads of little clever things to hide, clever places to hide things around the interior. We've got a compartment here, got a little compartment just in there, which that's really good actually. It's very handy. You put a phone in there or something. We've got aux in down there, 12-volt socket. Come on, autofocus. Aux in, 12-volt socket. There's a cup holder just sort of there. We even got little stowage nets in there as well for the sort of things. You can put a first aid kit and a warning triangle in there, for example. I don't think there's anything actually in the armrest itself, which is fair enough. Normal handbrake in this car, we like that very much. Automatic transmission seems okay. It's better than the previous smart automatic transmission, but I gather we're absolutely awful. I'm afraid the secret mission documents are not going in there. They're not going to go in there at all. I think the fuse box is still on this side. You can tell this car was assembled in a left-hand drive country. It's a lot of, you know, the time of things assembled in France are like that, like this one is. Funnily enough, the Twingo and the 4.4, which were also on this platform, were assembled in Slovenia rather than here. We've got UB, is that UBL or JBL? I always forget, but it's that company sound system in here. It's not the sort of kind of plushest materials in here, but this is a relatively inexpensive car. It's very light. I think even you can drive this car out the doors and it's still just as safe thanks to the safety cell that's in here. The cooling vents for the engine there. Must just replace this before I go out. I'll also put that back somewhere else that's a bit more prominent. But yeah, let's come and sit in the driver's seat. See, if you want more practicality, you can get the 4.4 or the Twingo. So a little rev counter, that's been a Smart trademark for years, hasn't it? For some reason this touchscreen has gone really dark. I'm gonna have to turn the contrast up on that because it's so dark you can't even really see it. But that's straight out of the Renault. I think it's the same as the contemporary Clio or something like that, this R-Link system. This car's got the air conditioning. I can turn that off, actually don't need that. Heater's quite nice on a cold day like today. It's actually got climate control, this Brabus Xclusive edition, which is good. Seats are very racing on that. You can also put a blind across on very sunny days. You don't want that, but I like that because it means my filming is a bit brighter for all of you. You can get a convertible version of this car as well. Oh, that's been running for too long. That's my other camera. I'll turn that off, trim that later. You can get a convertible version. It's known as the A453 version that came out in 2016. Digital dials in here, very fancy kind of steering wheel, all sorts of buttons on here. We've got cruise control, Bluetooth is on here. That I think is just for going through the menus like this. There we go. We can see I've done 20 miles per gallon. Whoops. Whoever has been driving this car has been having a lot of fun anyway, because they've only been doing 35 miles per gallon over almost 3,000 miles. So the official figures say about 45 for this car. So someone's been having a lot of fun. To see if we've got anything else in here. Yeah, eco menu. That's very Renault, isn't it? It's just warming up a bit. I think personally I'd probably maybe want to leave it on that because there's no other way of having the cooling temperature. Do we have the fuel gauge is there? We haven't got to tell them about fuel. We've got enough to get back there, that's fine. Messages and service, change settings. Okay, right, I'll just take a pause there. I'll close this window, close the door, and see if I can sort out this terrible contrast on this touchscreen. Right, viewers, what it is that if you move your hand closer to the screen, it does turn it on. So it was because I hadn't interacted with it, that's what happened. So if I just very carefully, handbrake's still on, put it into reverse, you should see there we have the reversing camera. It's nice to have it in a car like this, although it's so small that I'm not sure a lot of you would need that. It's nice to have it though. Back into park. Can we go home? Yes, there we go. So yeah, this is I think actually a TomTom sat nav on this, which is good. A little bit slow. We've got the sound off because I don't really want any copyright infringement on the channel. Let's see what else we can do with this. Back to the home button there. There's my eco score, which is not good, 58%, not brilliant. Probably, I think this is DAB radio. So just keep that off. There we go. Yep, I think it's DAB. Could be wrong about that. Phone's there, menu, let's see what else we can have on here. Vehicle, a little picture of a smart car there. EO score settings, it's probably not very exciting, this is it. Oh yeah, you can auto door while reversing, auto wipe with the reversing gear. Show eco score after trip. Well, depends if you're that bothered about it, I suppose. Some of you won't be. What does the services do? Oh, it's TomTom. Yeah, it's a TomTom system. That's handy. I like the way that we've actually got some physical buttons on here, and we've got physical controls of the heating and ventilation. It's not a given like that. This little control down here looks very Renault, doesn't it? Someone's really tried to liven this up though by putting Brabus logo on the handbrake and on the gear lever, which I'm not sure completely suits this little car, but you know, there we go. Right, anyway, that's enough of me wittering on. Let's go for another drive and maybe might even use these paddles. Lloyd Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. One really weird thing is that it's got the Renault switchgear in it as well, which is really strange. don't quite know why. It's even got a little switch here which looks like the old cruise control activation switch out of the older Clios to switch from economy and sport. Let's avoid these potholes. The ride's a bit hard in this, you can imagine, because it's a Brabus. Steering's not too bad though, it's very, very direct. I mean, I'm not really pushing on here anyway because I'm just being a little bit careful, but just sort of goes, you know. Its front response is very good. It does roll a bit more than I thought. I don't know what was I was expecting, really. I've never driven a Smart before, but it just rolls a little bit more than I was expecting for some reason, and the ride's a bit bouncy. But if you just live in an urban area, you can get an electric version of this as well. That lasts a little bit longer in production. Then this looks, well, it looks pretty ideal. Especially if this is one of you. Right, viewers, let's see what we can do. Oh my gosh! Oops. I better put that dealer plate back on, viewers. Yeah, that went forward quite rapidly. So yeah, 0 to 60 time of 9.2 seconds. I can absolutely see that will be the case. Let's see if we can use these paddle shifters. Let's put it into sport mode. There we go. Right, so let's do this. There we are. It's 5th, 4th. It seems to me this is one of these robotised manual gearboxes, and so it does feel sometimes like you've got a learner driver behind the wheel, as a lot of people say. That's why you've got this sort of whiny transmission noise in this. But yeah, I'm still in sport, still in the manual mode. It actually, as I came to a halt, it actually just put me back into sort of full auto. So obviously I haven't got complete control of this, but I do. Yeah, I've only got 5 speeds, down to 4th, 3rd. It's okay. I'm not sure it feels like you're in one of those kind of Brabus E-classes or something like that. It doesn't quite feel like that when you're driving this, but you can use it. Let's put it back into eco mode. Yeah, so I can drive. Just see if these paddles work with the eco mode. Oh right. No, if you use the paddles, it puts you straight back into the sport mode. So we'll just go back into eco here. There we go. Yeah, it's very, very easy to drive, whether you want to use these paddles or you don't, but a lot of the time you're going to want the best economy if you want a little city car like this, so you're unlikely to be using them all the time. So let's now have a look at some Smart Fortwo 3rd generation trim levels. I apologise for the mount shaking a little bit because I've still got the engine running. The black edition, the blue edition, the Brabus like this, the Brabus Sport. My favourite of all, the Disturbing London edition, the Smart Fortwo Disturbing London edition. I am disturbed. The edition 1, the edition green. Why is it the black, blue and red have the word edition after the colour and the green has it the other way around? That doesn't make any sense. We have the Passion, the Prime Sport, the Proxy. The Passion and the Prime have a much more colourful dashboard than this sort of all black and silver one in the Brabus. The Red Edition, the Urban Shadow Edition, and the White Edition. This car's actually only got a 35 litre fuel tank, so you can't go too far in this, but considering how economical these are, or should be, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Anyway, should you consider a Smart Fortwo with your hard-earned budget, it's been £1,000 and £5,000, bearing in mind that's only really going to get you like a high mileage early car in a low spec, you might be spending up to about £15,000 for something like this. So they do hold their value quite well. Particularly if you live in a very congested city, and maybe you're even considering that that EQ model that has a very short electric range, then this might be perfect, particularly if there's only 1 or 2 of you. It's not really quite my sort of car, I wouldn't say. I've enjoyed it very much, and you know, 0 to 60 time in 9.2 seconds, and 103 miles an hour that you can get up to in this car. That does seem good, but I personally would probably go for a slightly larger car, maybe the 4.4 would be better for me. I don't know. Anyway, thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more reasonably priced motoring.
Every blue day, every day with blue skies.